Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, and tonight we have a special video which is a video request by one of the subscribers. So I do make custom videos about different topics if you ask me, but I usually have to put a priority on people who are subscribing and helping support the work I do. Subscribing means joining the classes. So that's what we're talking about tonight, and it involves the concept of turning into some kind of a mist or a light after we die. So there is somebody who has been feeling anxiety about this issue in terms of a phenomenon called shared death experiences. And this is actually a very interesting subject, and I will explain why I'm not so worried about what the reader is concerned about. So I'm going to pull that concept apart a little bit, and hopefully also give a chance to talk a bit about the concept of shared death experiences, which is one of the high level areas of life after death evidence that isn't talked about a whole lot. So it's very exciting in that sense. Before we get started, a couple addendums. As with past videos, I'm speaking a bit more in a more hushed tone because it's late where I am. I'm still in Osaka, Japan. In a couple days, I am heading to Vietnam. So, Lord help me, we'll see what the Wi-Fi is like in Vietnam. Hopefully, I'll still be able to do my classes and upload videos in a reasonable way. We will see what happens. All right, so, oh yeah, and by the way, I have to give a big shout out to everybody. Thank you for helping this channel go over 1,000 subscribers. I mean, this is and by YouTube standards, a very small amount. We're still a micro channel, but it is a benchmark of sorts, and soon I'll be able to put advertisements on here, or if you're from the UK, advertisements, or aluminium. Yeah, you know how it goes with British versus American English. But anyway, you get the point. This will help out a lot, even if it's only like a few bucks a month. Hey, that's something, right? And also, maybe it'll get easier to maybe YouTube will be promoting these videos more now. So 1,000 was a big benchmark goal when I got this channel active way back in November, and I only had like a couple of hundred subscribers. So yeah, it's something. All right, so with that out of the way, and I'll probably make a separate or a new video about the 1,000 subscriber mark in a few days. Anyway, let's jump back into the subject. So we're talking about actually a couple of posts at the White Crow blog, blog of Michael Tim. Michael Tim is a veteran afterlife researcher. I've been interviewed by him, so actually you can find, if you go on Google, put in Michael Tim, Cyrus Kirkpatrick, there's a pretty good article about me on this blog, and this is one of the premier blogs about the topic of not only life after death, but like concrete paranormal evidence from the annals of spiritualism and parapsychology dating back at least a couple of hundred years. I think I have like a little canker sore developing on my lip. It's like painful to talk, so if you see me wincing when I'm talking, that's why. I have to put some medicine on this thing. Anyway, so that's Michael Tim's blog. So very interesting. And back in 2010, he was reporting about a new book by Dr. Raymond Moody, well, new at the time, 9 years ago, called Glimpses of Eternity. And God bless Raymond Moody. I mean, he's still active in the afterlife research field, even after all these years. I think he's like in his mid-80s by now, but he was the one basically who coined the term near-death experience. This is why we say near-death experience, because of Raymond's work in the late 70s. So If you don't know who Raymond Moody is, he is the pioneer of near-death experience research. He helped get the subject of an afterlife, a real afterlife, out into the public domain so many years ago, so we can all thank Raymond Moody for that. Now, he went on to revolutionize afterlife research again back in 2010 as he began revealing his research into the subject of shared death experiences. So it's one thing for skeptics to say people who are having an NDE are medicated, or DMT is being released, or they're hallucinating, or as Neil Tyson hilariously claims, they see the light of the operating theater and they think that that is the light that people report in NDEs, when that's a complete mischaracterization of that experience. But they cannot explain when somebody is having a near-death experience and other fully conscious, fully not dying people are experiencing the NDE as well, whether that's seeing deceased loved ones coming into the room, seeing the tunnel appear to another world, or all kinds of crazy things that happen at people's bedsides that people seldom report, because just like in the old days of the near-death experience, people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be thought of as cuckoo. So now we come to the concern of one of my viewers, one of my readers, and it specifically it concerns a phenomenon that Michael Tim highlighted back in 2010. It has to do with deathbed mist. Now this is a weird one. So it's been repeatedly reported that people, as they're dying, we can watch like a mist or a vapor escape out of their bodies, like out of the back of their head. And this is sometimes accompanied by other shared death types of phenomena, such as deceased loved ones partially materializing into the room. And it's once the mist comes out of the body that the person finally is no longer in their body. And so it's commonly considered maybe this mist is the soul, the spirit of the person leaving the body and going off into new dimensions. So why would this be a cause of anyone's concern? Well, does this mean that we are that mist? Does this mean that we die and we are no longer our kind of, what's promised to us sometimes, as some people really look forward to the idea that you die and you get to become part of the astral dimension, as I talk about in this channel, being in your peak body, being beautiful again, being able to hug and greet and kiss your loved ones. Some people are not too big on the idea of just being a vaporous bunch of mist floating around. And so that's why this particular individual requested this topic, because it's a bit distressing to think about that in that context. And there's a second article by Tim as well that came out in just a couple years ago in 2017. Again, the soul mist that was heavily reported. So I do suggest checking these articles out yourself. I'll have a link up on the video, on the description of the video. And it's a big article to get into, so I can't recite all of this. But we talk about caregivers witnessing that mist come out of the body, and actually, this is the bigger video. We talk about different cases of the deathbed mist phenomena. Now, here's what's interesting, and here's why I don't have the concerns that my reader has about that particular idea, because you have to look at the subjects in the big picture. And what Tim does is he's linking this particular phenomenon with the phenomenon of ectoplasm. So this is what's really interesting, because we're thinking that the mist that's coming out of people's bodies is the spirit or the soul, but as it turns out, and he highlights this in one excerpt I had it highlighted a moment ago. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it again. Um, it's interesting to talk about partial materialization of somebody in the room as the person was dying. Um, they observed a silver-like substance streaming from the head of the body of the dying person to the head of the spirit body. The color was translucent, luminous silver radiance. The cords seemed alive with vibrant energy. Um, so what's going on is that we're linking that this phenomenon of the mist and this stuff that's coming out of the body at death. It might not be that this is the body of the soul, but this might be ectoplasm. If not ectoplasm, something that is closely linked to the phenomenon of ectoplasm. So here is the part I highlighted. So I don't think I'd be able to pronounce this guy's name. Lobster sounds like I want to say lobster, lobster. As the researcher came to understand it, the vaporous material was the same makeup as ectoplasm, the mysterious substance given off by physical mediums before materializations. It acts as a sort of glue in bonding the physical body with the spirit body, and the more materialistic a person, the denser the ectoplasm, and the more difficult the person has in, quote, giving up the ghost. So this is kind of a weird, kind of a puzzling paragraph, because what do they mean by the more materialistic? What does materialistic mean? Does that mean that the more somebody is in denial that they're dying, the more difficult it is for the ectoplasmic material to detach? I don't know if that's true. That sounds like a wild speculation to me. But what is interesting to me is the idea that there is this glue that holds the astral body into the physical body, because this ectoplasm seems to be working in that respect. But we also know that ectoplasm, whatever the hell it is, has the property of existing both in this world and the other world. So it's literally a go-between ethereal substance that our own bodies can produce. And what Tim is suggesting in these articles is that the ectoplasm is the thing that we're seeing coming out of people's bodies as they're dying. And I kind of infer that what it means is that, okay, so the astral body is hooked up to the ectoplasm. And the ectoplasm may even be the thing that's misidentified sometimes as the, quote, silver cord. But the ectoplasm, it's like this, thick mucus-like substance, is connecting the ethereal, the astral body, to its duplicate body, which is the body you're in right now. But if this were to happen, we wouldn't be able to see the astral body coming out of the earth body. We'd only see that go-between substance as it's being exuded out of, for example, the head or the back of the neck. And as that person's, I suppose, neurological connection dies, then this ectoplasm thing finally releases its bonds on the astral body, and then the person will finally be dead and able to move in to operate their astral existence, whatever that may be, whether they want to be a flying purple octagon or if they want to look like themselves and be in a kind of physical astral body and move into the fourth dimension or the fourth density, the astral plane, heaven, whatever you want to call it. Truly, I mean, it's up to who knows what someone's individual path is. But in these very interesting articles, we see how here's an alleged ectoplasmic photo of the stuff just pooling out of this girl's skirt. Kind of weird. There's a lot of weird, crazy photos like that from the heyday of spiritualism, where people go into a trance and the ectoplasm starts coming out. You see a lot of those contemporary photos of that if you check out like the Felix Circle with a lot of alleged ectoplasmic photos. But really, what we're looking at though is a possibility of how all of these different topics disconnect. So ectoplasm, physical mediumship, and the actual dying process, where it's maybe that some of us in these SDE experiences can actually see the ectoplasm coming out of the body, and that is literally the dying process. So the substance leaves, the glue that's holding on to the astral body, that gets disconnected, and finally the quote spirit, if you want to use that terminology, is free, and that's kind of how it goes. So that's my interpretation of these articles. It's nothing, we don't have to be freaked out that it means that we are just a bunch of mist. But even if you were a bunch of mist, I mean, the way the physics operate on that side, I mean, you can probably be any shape that you want, so long as you have the mental capacity to shapeshift. So that's not a big deal. So this stuff is really interesting. I'll post the links, and I hope that this information was of some benefit to you as well as to the person making this request. And that's it for this video. Again, sorry the videos have been sporadic, been a little bit preoccupied, a lot of like headaches and stuff that's been bogging my mind. Always traveling, there's always hassles and delays and dilemmas. Gosh, I just like to have a nice month without something I have to deal with. But that's what happens when you're traveling, it seems like, whether it's things getting stolen or jury duty summons back in your home state, and then them not believing that you've left your country. So a lot of stuff like that's going on, that's giving me a headache, but I'll try to keep the ball rolling, get some new videos coming out soon. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button and check out afterlifetopics.com. You can check out the books, you can check out the Facebook group, join the big discussions. That's it for this video, and I'll catch you guys soon on the next video.